Commission meeting for Thursday, February 27th. We can get a verification of agenda posting.
Thank you, Chair. The agenda for the February 27th, 2014 Planning Commission agenda was posted on Friday, February 21st, 2014 at 2:30 p.m.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Harvey, you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Commissioner Alvarez.
Here.
Commissioner Lenore.
Present.
Commissioner Haboy.
Here.
Commissioner Harvey.
Here.
Chair Torres.
Here. Okay, approval of minutes for December 19th, 2013.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Communications from the public on items not listed on the agenda. We got any speaker cards, Billy?
I have none.
Okay, thank you.
From the public? Are you going to do the... I know, but are you doing on the hotel, or are you just speaking? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought that was it. No, I apologize. Brenda Weatherly.
Okay, thank you.
That's what he meant to say. Good evening,
Good evening.
Commissioners. Brenda Weatherly with the Hollister Downtown Association. And I would like to request that the Planning Commission review the current sign ordinance and consider adding a provision to allow A-frame signs that go through a design review, permitting, and specific placement process. That's the key. As we transition our downtown to a pedestrian-friendly one, we need to make sure that we include pedestrian-scaled signage. A-frame signs are widely and successfully used in other downtowns across the nation. These signs help signal that businesses are open, as well as detail specific special offers that are available to the shopper, and they help make our downtown feel welcoming. I would be happy to share with you other ordinances that are done in other communities that are done successfully, and I just would like you to consider adding that to your agenda.
Okay.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I know this is items not on the agenda, but do we need to vote on to add this to the agenda, Bill?
If the chair would like, as the commission, they can direct staff to go ahead and agendize it for the next planning commission meeting, if you so choose.
I thought it was already part of the ordinance.
A-frame signs?
Yeah, the little sandwich boards.
Yeah.
And 12
I mean, what we
12
can,
inches wide?
yeah, what we can do is, I'm assuming that the comment from the public is that they'd like us to review and maybe amend or revise the current ordinance. What I think you folks need to do is each get a copy of the ordinance. I mean, most of you were here, with the exception of Commissioner Harvey, when you adopted the most recent sign ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you recall, it was a several-year process, so to speak. But what we should do is we should get you a copy of that sign ordinance. If Brenda would like to provide staff with the copies of ordinances that she has that she'd like for you to consider, we can prepare an agenda item for you. You can review that. Then you would be able to direct staff to go back and amend or take a stab at drafting a new sign ordinance pertaining to A-frame signs specifically. And then you can take action on that and recommend it to the City Council for an actual municipal code change if that's the direction that the Commission ultimately ends up doing. But you sort of have two alternatives right now. One is you just direct staff to prepare something for you for next Commission meeting. If you think you're happy with the current sign ordinance, you can say nothing at all and we'll move on. So.
I think it'd be interesting at least to see what comments there.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
I agree.
Okay, that's all we need. Just a little consensus and we can go on. We don't need that in a motion or anything.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to the public hearings. Item number 1 is the growth management allocations filed by Patrick and Linda Dyke, requesting 39 allocations on a property consisting of 5 acres in the R1L PZ zoning district located at 1051 South Street, being more specifically described as assessor's parcel number 058060001. Hey, Jill.
Thank you. Good evening. The applicant is requesting 39 residential allocations on approximately 5 acres located at 1051 South Street. One existing home will remain on the site. The applicant would eventually submit an application for a tentative map for the single-family lots. A preliminary layout of the circulation between the subject property and the vacant property east would have a shared street access off of South Street. The request is consistent with the City of Hollister's general plan of low-density residential at 1 to 8 units per net acre. By awarding the allocations, the Planning Commission is not providing an approval of the design or the layout of the single-family subdivision. The Planning Commission must hold a duly noticed public hearing for the tentative map approval process, which will include conditions.
Staff received a comment letter today, February 27th, for this item from Alex and Ingrid Saiwak. Alex and Ingrid Saiwak own the property, approximately 2 acres between the subject parcel and West Side Boulevard. And there are multiple comments in the letter pertaining mainly to the design of the roadway. And what we would like to indicate is that the design will be reviewed at the tentative map stage. Staff will be reading the letter today just for full disclosure, as we usually do when we get comment letters. But tonight, the applicant is requesting approval for the allocations only on the 5-acre site. So essentially, the letter Joe is passing out to you right now, and there's also copies of the comment letter on the lobby there. It basically indicates that Alex and Ingrid Saiwak own the 2 acres between the subject parcel and West Side Boulevard. The applicants initially scheduled their application for the Planning Commission hearing on December 19th, 2013, with the proposed layout as shown in Exhibit 8 in the packet. The Planning Department continued the December application because it was not in line with the applicant's earlier proposal, Exhibit B. That's what it indicates on the letter. Applicants revised their December layout and came up with 2 alternatives. Exhibit C in your packet. Applicants, we summarized their meeting with the DRC as, and this is a quote, regarding the dike proposal, the city did review the revised plan at the DRC, that's the Development Review Committee that the city has, and determined that the plan would meet the intent of the zoning ordinance for the R1 Low Density Performance Overlay Zoning District. The DRC indicated that the layout as proposed may require a gated emergency vehicle only access from West Side Boulevard. The DRC insisted that prior to recommendation for approval to the Planning Commission, both adjacent property owners come to an agreement regarding the layout of the site. So these comments, there are about 6 comments, and we're just going to briefly go over them. And we also made slides. The letter says, we support the layout where our lots would back up to West Side Boulevard as shown in Exhibit D, provided the following are incorporated into the final layout, as summarized in Exhibit E. Number 1, the right-of-way and design of the roadway section extending from South Street to the north end of our interior street meets city standards with the right-of-way to be dedicated to the city and maintained as a public street, Course A, as indicated on the screen there. Number 2, the rear ends of applicants' 9 lots shown in Block B to abut against the property line between R and applicant's parcel. Again, this is for growth management allocations. We would be seeing more at the tentative map stage. Number 3, the curvature of the right-of-way as depicted by curve X to be the city standards, with the easterly end of the curvature ending at applicant's easterly property line at point E. Presumably, the radius of the right-of-way curvature will be 20 feet. Applicant and/or its successor ownerships agreed to dedicate that portion of applicant's property to the city necessary to allow for this curvature of the right-of-way, about 86 square feet. And on the screen, you'll see that section that Mr. Saiwak is talking about is circled in red. Number 4, access from the south end of our public street into applicant's parcel to allow emergency vehicle passage, removing the need for a crash gate to West Side Boulevard. Number 5, the curvature of the right-of-way as depicted by curve Y to be to city standards, with the easterly end of the curvature ending at applicant's easterly property line at point F. The ownership entity of applicant's parcel and/or its successor ownerships agreed to dedicate that portion of applicant's property to the city necessary to allow for this curvature of the right-of-way, about 86 square feet. And number 6, if applicant's roadway at G is a private road with a gated entrance at a more northerly point in their parcel, applicants to allow for the installation of an emergency vehicle access gate at point H. And the letter concludes by saying, although it is not required to notify the immediate neighbors at this stage of intended developments, we support Planning Commissioner Carol Lenore's earlier recommendation that neighbors should be given notice at the earliest stage of an intended development. This development is of particular interest because it is backing up to established R1 6,000 square feet lots and may require non-conforming rear front and side setbacks. In summary, we support the layout as shown in Exhibit D, provided the above conditions are incorporated and become part of applicant's entitlement process. Thank you all. Thank you for all of your help. We are available for further discussion and clarifications with the applicant's planning departments and commission. Thank you for giving us this opportunity and your time, Alex and Ingrid Sywak. So with this, we just wanted to inform the commission that we did review all these different site layouts, and one of the things that the planning department wanted to do is to make sure that, of course, the layout met city requirements, especially what is zoned for, R1 Low Density Performance Overlay Zone, which it does. And we also wanted to make sure that both property owners agree at least to a site layout. Conditions amongst each other, amongst both property owners, that will be between the property owners, but we just wanted to make sure that at least it was consistent and in conformance with the City of Hollister zoning ordinance, and that both property owners can come up with an agreement on the layout. And it looks like they have, and it is before you tonight for allocations. And with this, staff recommends the Planning Commission adopt the resolution awarding 39 allocations to Patrick and Linda Dyke for a single-family development. Does the Commission have any questions for staff?
Thank you, Abraham.
I just want to, on the performance overlay zone, you look for typically a variety of lot sizes and that. On these scenarios, different scenarios, I'm looking at one that has a little landscape strip to the other ones, because I know they're in the performance overlay zone. You look for amenities on site. Do the other ones include any common space amenities?
At this time, Commissioner Boyd, it's mainly for the allocations. When the tentative map comes in, we will see what they propose. We do want to make sure that they meet the stormwater management requirements per our zoning code and state requirements as well. And if need be, have a certain area within the layout to show that there's open space, then we would require it.
Amenity.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Any additional questions? No?
Yeah. In this configuration right here, is there passage for 2 parked vehicles and 2 vehicles passing on the streets? It's wide enough?
Wide enough. That's one of the things that we would require and that we would see at the tentative map stage once it's submitted. We have minimum width standards on roads, and we would make sure that the design of the infrastructure is per city standards at the time of the tentative map. But we would require that both vehicles in each direction are able to use the roadways.
Okay. Any additional questions?
And I do want to indicate that even though both property owners did come to an agreement on the site layout, we know it's custom that even though it's for the allocations, the layout eventually may end up changing a little bit, but as long as it's substantially conform, I know it's been the precedent that as long as it substantially conforms to what the Planning Commission approves, it's fine. However, if the site layout comes out significantly different, then definitely you would be able to make that determination and either approve or not approve it. But
Thank you, Abraham.
you're welcome.
So,
Yeah.
excuse me, this evening, we're just looking to possibly approve the allocations, and then we're going to talk about the other stuff later.
That's correct.
Just these items.
This just the 39 allocations on the Patrick and the Linda Dyke property. I do want to say that the other owner, Mr. Sywak, on his 2 acres, he currently does have about, I believe it's 8 allocations. But with this new development layout, they would more than likely come back and more than likely request additional allocations once he is ready to develop and submit for a tentative map.
Okay.
Entertain a motion?
We're going to go ahead and open that up to
Excuse me.
Public comment at 6:15. Bill, you have any speaker cards on this item?
I do. Richard Scagliotti, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. Richard Scagliotti. You need an address for the record?
No, you don't have to do that anymore.
Okay, also the engineer, Ann Hall. A little bit of history on this. Mr. Brennan, Mr. Dyke is here, the owners, and Mr. Brennan is the actual applicant. I am partners with him. I submitted the, basically because I live here, I'm doing the legwork for him. One thing, some of the maps you're seeing, well, first of all, I find it very confusing that since we're the applicant, we paid the fee, that Mr. Siwak maps get put on the board. We have revised this probably 5, 6 times to try and work with him and meet his needs or his goals, which his goals we don't know what they are. But nevertheless, if you go back and look at his whole letter, it will show you what he had left back 10, 15 years ago. His access was at the corner of South and West Side, which there's no way you can have access at that point for his property. So we made considerations to move things around. And Commissioner Huboy, you asked about the green belt. That was a map that we submitted for a gated community with small streets, not public streets. That's why you see the green belts on that map on each side of it. That was a gated community. We were going to make it 55 and older, a gated community. Subsequently, DRC didn't meet their requirements. We redesigned again. Mr. Siwak has all these conditions. And again, I find it hard to believe that he's the engineering department for the city of Hollister. I believe part of our engineering department is sitting right there. He's the one that makes the decisions with the rest of his crew. But again, if you're getting my drift where this has been, it's been an ongoing discussion for several months, and it hasn't been in our best interests. But we have tried to work, and staff has been wonderful with us, trying to keep the peace and work with us. Mr. Brennan worked diligently with Mr. Siwak, and he couldn't come to terms with him. So we decided we'll do our own thing. We'll make access. We'll create access for him. Again, and create a circulation so we have, one entrance, one out. I know he's going to throw a fit at the tentative map, which he's already stated he doesn't want an access point through West Side Boulevard. He doesn't want anything that he's going to lose any of his property, which it is what it is. We're willing to do whatever is necessary. These streets are city standards.
56 foot wide.
They're 56 wide. That's why the map you see before you, here is the property line, our property line, and I know he's talking about this area here. And these curvatures, that's nothing. That's engineering. We can do that. That's something simple. Again, we were just here tonight for our allocations, and, we thought this months ago, give us the allocations, and when tentative map comes, then we'll settle it with engineering and planning, with the layout and what it's going to look like. And as far as notification, if Commissioner Lenore would like us to send out early, we can do that. That's not a problem. It's just envelopes and, the notices. Ann's staff does that all the time for us, and they run the roll. We can do whatever's necessary, but again, it bothers me that you're only seeing one side of this, and we weren't going to we weren't going to send 50 pages of stuff in here for you to have to read over allocations. And if you'd like some of that stuff, we can put it together and send it to you if you'd like to see it. But did we miss anything?
Just looking for the allocation.
Yeah, basically that's what we're looking for, is our allocations, and trying, we went to this size lots. We're trying to meet the affordable aspect. So that's where we're going with this. We're trying to meet affordability. We're not trying to compete with K&B and Benchmark and the rest of them. We can't. But that's why, and with staff, and staff agreed with this, that this would help bring some affordability to it with those small, and you understand that. With a smaller lot, less cost for us in development, we're not going to get as much money, so that's what we're looking to do. Any questions? Thank you for your time. Have a good
Thank you.
evening.
Okay. Any additional speaker cards, Billy?
No, sir.
Okay. If no other comments, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the commission at 6:20. Comments, questions? Entertain a motion.
Resolution number, Bill?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Give me 2 seconds here. Oh, never mind. It's the beginning of the year. It'll be number 1.
I should. I move that we adopt Resolution 2014-1 for 39 allocations for Patrick and Linda Dyke.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. We will move to item number 2, Site and Architectural Review number 2014-1, filed by Rakesh Patel, requesting the approval for an 81-room, 51,693 square foot Fairfield Inn and Suites Marriott Hotel in the GC, General Commercial Zoning District. Said property is located at 390 Gateway Drive, being more specifically described as Assessor's Parcel Number 053410003, and CEQA is Mitigated Negative Declaration. Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The proposed project is an 81-room, 51,693 square foot Fairfield Inn and Suites Marriott Hotel. The proposed building would be 4 stories tall, consist of 81 rooms and suites, 81 off-street parking spaces, a meeting room, an indoor swimming pool, exercise room, breakfast room, food preparation area, a freestanding monument sign, and porte-cochere. The exterior of the building would have a facade variations in favor of four-sided architecture to provide an attractive facade on all building frontages and to prevent a monolithic look. The exterior of the building consists primarily of stucco material with various exterior textures, including, these are the colors, sandblast, saraha, fine sand, and sand pebble. The exterior of the main entrance on the first floor would include a manufactured stone with an El Dorado cliffstone Cambria finish. The first floor of the north rear elevation of the building would also have the Cambria cliffstone finish exterior, as well as the column and the porte-cochere on the front elevation. Also, sections of the building would have a hardy plank cement board siding to provide variation of the exterior texture. The south front elevation would have a white color exterior at the main entrance. The rest of the building would have a tan color with a varying accent band color. And the sections of the building with the hardy plank cement would have a dark tan color that would be located at the southeast and west of the building. The guest room windows would be aligned throughout the building. The main entrance storefront would consist of aluminum clear anodized doors. The building would have a flat roof, and the section of the roof along the main entrance would have a shade canopy. The porte-cochere would be approximately 1,880 square feet, and the porte-cochere would have a roof that would connect to a manufactured stone column. The total footprint of the ground floor would be 14,990 square feet, and the height of the building to the top of the roof would be approximately 50 feet.
Thanks, Joe. A wrought iron fence would be placed along the northwest and east property lines. A 24-foot portion of the fence located at the northwest portion of the site towards the rear of the project site would be able to be removed when the property to the west develops for potential vehicle access and connectivity between both parcels, as indicated in the general plan. There is an existing fire hydrant near the south property line along Gateway Drive, and there will be 3 additional fire hydrants that are proposed. The project would have 81 off-street parking spaces, including 4 ADA accessible parking spaces near the main entrance. 30 parking spaces would be compact parking. This makes up 37% of the total parking area. The city ordinances allows up to 40%. A striped aisle for ADA accessibility would connect the sidewalk along the north side of Gateway Drive through the front entry parking lot and to the sidewalk near the main entrance of the hotel building. The proposed project would include a trash enclosure at the northeast end of the lot. Perennials and grasses along with deciduous trees would be placed on small landscape islands throughout the parking lot. 14 light posts are also proposed throughout the project site to eliminate the parking area and walkways. Lighting should comply with the city's lighting ordinance, which requires that outdoor lighting be shielded with full cutoff or recessed fixtures to reduce light exposure to adjoining properties, public right-of-way, and the night sky. All lighting fixtures shall be appropriate in scale, intensity, and height to the use they are serving. The first floor of the building would include 6 hotel rooms, a stairway at each end of the 5-foot wide corridor extending from east to west, 2 elevators, a food preparation room with breakfast area, an indoor pool, exercise room, work room with an office, print room, small market, fire riser room, electrical room, multiple storage rooms, a laundry room, linen room, 2 bathrooms, a lobby, and a vestibule. Each room would measure 374 square feet. One room on the first floor would be ADA accessible. The total square footage of the first floor would be 13,020 square feet. The second, third, and fourth floors of the building would each have 25 rooms. This includes one ADA accessible room on each floor. The second, third, and fourth floors would each have a total square footage of 12,891 square feet.
The wall signs would be individual illuminated channel letters that would read Marriott Fairfield Inn and Suites. The wall signs would be placed on the south, the front elevation of the building, and east elevation of the building along the fourth floor. The phrase Fairfield Inn and Suites would be in a blue-colored font, and the phrase Marriott would be in red font. The wall sign on the south elevation would be a total wall sign area of 250.25 square feet. And the wall sign on the east elevation would have a total approximate wall sign area of 90 square feet. There will be a wall sign with individual channel letters on a manufactured stone pillar of the porte-cochere. A freestanding monument sign would be placed on the landscape area along Gateway Drive. The overall height of the sign would be 12 feet, and the total square footage would be 30 square feet. The monument sign would have white molded surface vinyl letters that would read Fairfield Inn and Suites Marriott. The phrase Fairfield Inn and Suites would have a blue vinyl background, and the word Marriott would have a red color background. The base of the sign would be gray with a gloss finish, and the signs would integrate with hotel design and would not overwhelm, be out of proportion with, or dominate the project in compliance with Chapter 1720 of the Hollister Municipal Code. The landscape plan indicates that 20% of the project site would be landscaped. The landscaping includes a vegetative screen on two neighboring parcels to the west, north, and east, consisting of large broadleaf evergreen trees and shrubs, along with perennials and grasses. A 1,690 square foot drainage area would be located to the west of the building in compliance with the stormwater requirements and best management practices.
A little bit of background on the project. Commission. On August 23, 2001, the City of Hollister Planning Commission approved site and architectural application 2001-23 at the project site at 390 Gateway Drive. Put a little bit of an overview on the screen as well. And this consisted of the construction of a 39,046 square foot Holiday Inn Express hotel and suites with 66 rooms. In May of 2002, the City of Hollister received a cease and desist order mandated by the Regional Water Quality Control Board, which did not allow any new building permits to be issued for any residential, commercial, or industrial development which could result in new connections to the city's wastewater treatment system. As a result, the hotel project was placed on hold. The cease and desist order lifted on December of 2008. The applicant allowed the approval for the Holiday Inn Express Hotel to expire and instead applied for site and architectural application 2008-11 for a larger 88-room, 53,485 square foot Fairfield Inn and Suites Marriott Hotel. And on February 26, 2009, City of Hollister Planning Commission approved site and architectural review application 2008-11 for the construction of this 88-room Fairfield Inn and Suites Hotel at the project site. Section 1724-190D of the Hollister zoning ordinance limits the approval of a site and architectural review to 24 months to 2 years, but allows an applicant to request a 1-year extension. The applicant met with staff regarding the approval and expressed concern that it may not be possible to construct the hotel by the time the approval expired, citing financing reasons. And on March 24, 2011, the City of Hollister Planning Commission approved a 1-year extension for the 88-room hotel. The applicant was not able to construct the hotel within the approval period. The mitigated negative declaration adopted in 2001 for the 66-room Holiday Inn Express Hotel identified 3 potential significant impacts that could be reduced to an insignificant level with the incorporation of mitigation measures. These potential significant impacts include cultural resources, soil stability for construction, and traffic safety. The mitigation measures are incorporated into the conditions of approval and the attached resolution before you.
The Planning Commission at its February 26, 2009 meeting approved SNA 2008-11 consisting of an 88-room Fairfield Inn and Suites Marriott Hotel at 390 Gateway Drive and made a determination to use the existing approved mitigated negative declaration adopted for the Holiday Inn Express previously because it did not result in a new significant environmental impact that was not previously evaluated in the adopted document, and there was no substantial changes or new information in the project area that would require revisions to the documents and did not require the preparation of a subsequent environmental review. Therefore, staff is recommending that the commission use the same approved mitigated negative declaration for this proposed project because the decrease in hotel size from 88 rooms to 81 rooms will not result in a new significant environmental impact that was not previously evaluated in the adopted document, and there are not substantial changes or new information in the project area that would require revisions to the document. The project site is part of a 15-acre commercial subdivision, which is tentative map 1996-1. A subdivision condition required new development on Gateway Drive to contribute a prorated share for the cost of future signalization of the intersection of San Felipe Road and Gateway Drive to mitigate impacts when the signal is warranted. To date, 3 of the 10 lots in the subdivision have been developed for a car dealership, a gas station with a mini mart, and a daycare center. The requirement for a prorated share contribution for signalization has been incorporated as a condition in the attached resolution. In conclusion, no new significant environmental effects or a substantial increase in the severity of previously identified significant effects in the Holiday Inn Express Hotel project, SNA 2001-23, would occur with the current project proposal, and SNA 2014-1 that would require an addendum or a supplemental mitigated negative declaration.
Pursuant to Hollister Municipal Code Section 171860, parking requirements, a hotel use shall include 1 space per guest room and employee and adequate space to accommodate other activities. The applicant has proposed a total of 81 parking spaces with the 81-room hotel proposal. When the occupancy is at 100%, there would be a shortage of parking spaces for each employee and adequate spaces to accommodate other activities. It is recognized that most hotels or inns in the Hollister area do not have an average occupancy of 100%. A condition in the attached resolution requires that the applicant comply with the city's parking requirements by one of 3 options. When 73 or more rooms at the hotel are occupied, 73 rooms would be at 90% occupancy rate. One would be securing a reciprocal agreement with an adjoining property owner. Another would be securing an easement for the use of 9 off-street parking spaces that will be made available to hotel employees or guests with shuttle or valet parking for a property on Gateway Drive. Or a third option would be securing an easement of an off-site shuttle valet parking service at a location. The condition requires approval and recordation of the easement by the city attorney and engineering department prior to recordation and final occupancy.
The City of Hollister received 1 comment letter from a Hollister resident, Mr. Marty Richmond. We'd like to read the following comment letter for the record. The letter reads, "Dear Commissioners," and Abraham's passing out a copy of the letter now, and we have a few copies in the front as well. "Dear Commissioners, a prior commitment prevents me from attending the meeting and offering a verbal testimony on the item, specifically requesting the approval for an 81-room, 51,693 square foot Fairfield Inn and Suites Marriott Hotel in the GC General Commercial Zoning District. Please accept this written testimony for the public record and your consideration. I have no financial or property interest regarding this site or the proposed development. Nevertheless, I am in full support of the current proposal. I believe both the zoning and location are appropriate for this site, and any standard architecture for a public access hotel or inn will fit in the local area. The site also has good access from the nearby Route 25, San Felipe Road intersection, and adequate turn lanes on both San Felipe Road and Gateway Drive. Best regards, Marty Richmond." And with this, staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the applicant's request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve site and architectural review application number 2014-1, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the resolution. Are there any questions for staff?
Questions? I just had one. So actually, a couple of questions, too. So the staff was okay with the traffic report that was submitted back from 1996. Was there an update to that, given today's current?
There was, thank you for that question, Commissioner Torres. 1996, as you know, as indicated, there was a environmental document that was prepared for the subdivision of that area. I think it was about 15 acres, and there was a traffic report that was made in 1996, and then in 2001, when the 66 Hotel came into before the Planning Commission, there was an update to the traffic report as well back in 2001. And so now there is a condition as part of the mitigation, a mitigation measure and the environmental document that was prepared for the project back in 2001. There is a condition that a traffic study be prepared prior to issuance of the building permits, just to see, and one of the concerns was the actual prorated share for the signalization there on either the intersection of Gateway Drive, or if there's going to be a new road in the vicinity to contribute to a prorated share. And so the study prior to the building permits would give us a little bit more knowledge of if it's warranted now or if we should wait a little bit later.
Okay. And then the second question that I had is, now the city, I'm assuming, doing business in that area quite a bit, off Gateway, that turn to go either north or south onto San Felipe is very difficult. And I noticed some of the signage, city signage and striping is pretty much either gone or very non-visible. I mean, I guess I would have some concerns making sure that the city does some improvements upon completion of this project of some type to freshen up a lot of that striping out on San Felipe, for sure. So that would be my only concern there.
Very well. Comment noted.
Okay.
The intersection is signalization, and there's 10 lots in there. At what point does the signal actually move forward? Well, I know that they're discussing now, it might change in the near future, but what is the deal on that?
Well, it's, when the signal is warranted, it'll be because of, most likely of delay of the ability of cars to make the left turn or right turn onto San Felipe Road. There will be a study made with this traffic study that will make that determination whether or not the warrants are met. When the intersection, which is probably currently at a level of service of educated guess is at a B right now. When it hits a D level of service, that's most likely when the intersection will be warranted for a traffic signal.
There's a schedule from when you're going to run the study so you can determine what level of service it is?
I'm expecting a traffic study that's going to need to be done for this project before building permits will do some kind of a signal analysis on that.
Yeah, because I know the early mornings, Evan, is just a bumper to bumper of commuters going through San Felipe out to 25.
Right.
Well, you always have the peak.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The rest of the day,
yeah.
But the straddle, going the 4 lanes, I have the difficulty of depth perception with my eyes, so it's tricky right there. I mean, I really wait until it's totally clear.
Yeah.
Right, and it's really important that the driving public use common sense and their own sense of security before they enter an intersection. So you enter an intersection when you feel it's safe, not when the guy behind you feels it's safe.
Right.
And there's an obligation to keep the level at C or better, my understanding is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions?
I just have a comment. All it's going to take is one accident, somebody from the hotel or something. So I would rather, I hope we can move forward with that light sooner. That traffic coming into town is just horrendous sometimes. I don't know if Mr. Tiffany has a comment. I'm afraid, I don't even go in that area anymore. I just like, I take my life in my own hands when I cross 4th Street between, 4:30 but I know to go around, different ways. But I'm just, I don't want somebody come in here, so why did you put a traffic, or why wouldn't that traffic signal there sooner? That's just my comment, so I know monies and things like that are.
Yeah, part of the signal warrant analysis also encompasses or includes some accident history. So the warrants take a look at what the accident rate would be per, I think it's 1,000 vehicle miles traveled at the intersection, or what the intersection, accident rate at that intersection is. But those studies will be performed by a traffic engineer, and the results will be given to the engineering department for that results.
Okay. Any additional comments or questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and open it for. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Just one more thing as it relates to the intersection, and I apologize for maybe jumping the gun on this a little bit earlier. It is very safe to say, obviously, there was an assessment district. There was always going to be a signal planned at that intersection. However, your new general plan, there's a couple of things that's changed since then. Your general plan has designated the properties to the north of what I'll call the Tiffany site, and to the north of what I'll call the Honda Powerhouse site. McNamee is about an 18-acre parcel that is zoned commercial. It's both in the city and the county right now. It's not completely in the city. And then the Hudner piece is essentially on the north side of what I think PG&E has an access easement to their substation that's years old, but north of this site. What I've been sort of advocating for future is to actually signalize an intersection, a new intersection at that location. With the bypass now available and Caltrans restriction of allowing nobody to make a right-hand turn off of or no access off of the bypass, we need to get people to those vacant properties for future commercial development if there's going to be some. If we move that light to the north, however, the distance of say, Mr. Tiffany's the dealership, so it would be basically at that intersection, that would probably provide gap for both left and right turns depending on signal, how that signalization works. That's stuff that we're kind of looking at in the future. Obviously, we're never going to create an unsafe situation. We're hoping that we can sort of do some annexations in the next couple of years, maybe get the Hudner piece in, maybe get the rest of the McNamee piece in there, having those primed and ready for commercial development, which are going to need access, because we will be running into the same sort of situation. So that's also something to sort of, that we're kind of looking at for in the future. And you wouldn't want a signal at both locations. It's just too close. So.
Okay. Great. Additional comments or questions? Okay, we will go ahead and open up for public comment period. It's 6:37. Have any speaker cards, Billy?
Yes, Ray Friend.
Good evening. I'm Ray Friend. I'm a resident of Hollister. And
Oh, you don't have
you brought up the exact concern I had. I'm fully supporting the project. I've been supporting on all the gateway projects. When I was in your chairs a few years ago, when the gateway project was first developed, that was a big concern that where gateway feeds out onto San Felipe was going to be a problem. And I'm sure when Bob moved out there, he was promised that everything was going to be developed on Gateway, and hasn't happened. The Hudner property could be developed somewhere down the road. My concern is, and I think you need to be real careful about, I think it's time to push for that light now, because we've already had a fatality just 2 blocks down. The same exit type that you're looking at, where somebody was making a left across San Felipe and got ran into and was killed. People go across to McDonald's all the time, same issue. I think if you put a motel down there, which is an excellent place to put it, I fully support it, but you're going to add maybe 100 cars on any given day during commute time trying to access San Felipe. And if you've ever driven down there during commute time on a foggy morning, you can't see the Ford dealership, and it's pretty hard to miss the Ford dealership when you're on that street. So I'm just saying, and I know that it's always been in the plan to have a light there. I think it's time to push for it. This project should put it over the limit. and that's where I would think it would be. And now the traffic studies, and I've seen them, and they'll come back and say, well, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's only a B. Well, but between 7 and 9, that's when the issue is. Or between 6 and 7, that's when the issue is. Even though the bypass has taken an awful lot of traffic off of San Felipe, there's still a lot of traffic on San Felipe. And I just would hate to have an incident come up, and having had to sit up there on that desk, if there's an injury because of something we could have done and you didn't do it at the time, now's the time to strike. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any additional speaker cards, Billy?
Yeah, Mr. Tiffany?
Okay.
Good evening. I have obviously some personal experience dealing with that intersection, and I would certainly join in what Commissioner Alvarez and what Ray Friend had just said. First of all, I think that it's a great project. I think most everyone here in this community knows that we're in great need of some projects like this. So being a close-by neighbor, I mean, we're certainly very supportive of this project, so I think it's great to have this coming into the community. With that being said, I do think that I would chime in with what Ray said. It's just, you're just waiting for something serious to happen. I know that there maybe hasn't been anything major there, although I do recall at least a couple of accidents, but I can tell you in our dealership, and we have basically about 30 employees, we have right in part of our employee handbook is that employees are required to turn right there when they're leaving. They're not supposed to go across that intersection because even when, and I have a lot of personal experience, even when it's middle of the day and there's not a lot of traffic, there's always some cars coming from one direction or the other direction, and you're trying to get across there, and all it takes is someone getting impatient. So that's why we tell everyone go right at that intersection. With a hotel there, with a lot more people, there is going to be a serious accident. So I would definitely say that you should look at a light sooner than later. Otherwise, you're going to run into a problem. Other than that, I think the project is great. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any additional speaker cards, Billy?
No additional speaker cards.
Okay.
Oh.
The applicant's here.
My name is Irvin Ozawa. My wife and I are the owners of the daycare area, that root place, and my main concern has basically for the children of that daycare. And then when you consider what has to be done during construction, etc., you have to remember that there's small children over there, and there's allergens and dust and what direction the wind blows from. I know that that wasn't considered, but now that there is one there, and there are young children there, and babies and infants, I do feel that one of the things that has to be considered during your approval process is how you're going to mitigate all the potential dust and everything, because I know which direction the wind comes from, and I know that there's a lot of dust, and I'm not sure that it makes any difference because we have a lot of farm country out here, but I really just don't know. And I talked to them very briefly and explained that was my main concern, and that's all I wanted to mention, is that there is a child care center that is mentioned, and you do have some responsibility in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional? Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thanks for supporting the project, and for everyone who showed up today. It's been a long time since we've tried to get this project out of the ground. Quick history about who we are, Lotus Management, third-generation hotel development company now, and once we commit to a lot, we stick with it all the way. We have had many people say, hey, you sure you want to go to Hollister to build a Marriott Fairfield Inn? And we said, yes, we're sure. This city needs it. We believe in it. It's going to help the city. It'll help the local community with the employment and so forth. So we really appreciate your time. And just to clarify, this is positioned as a slightly upper scale hotel. So our goal at all our properties, we have 12 right now, is not to rent to riffraff and so forth, but we want to make sure our hotels are good, upstanding pillars of society. We don't entertain the other type of business just to make ends meet financially. So hopefully that could provide some reassurance to people here. We did talk with Mr. Ozawa about his child care center that's next to us. Granted, construction site is a construction site. It will make noise, it will create dust, but we try to run our jobs very tight. They're very clean, tight on security. There's no loud music, alcohol, nothing on our sites. And during construction of foundation and so forth, you know, we could try harder to make sure we don't have a lot of dust in the air and just work with our neighbor. We're not out there to be the big bad boy in town and what we say goes. That's not our philosophy. We do believe from our roots that we must work together with our community. We just had a couple of questions, if I may. Sure. First of all, hearing the local citizens say that that light is a very important component for this project to be successful and also to maintain a safe neighborhood for the city of Hollister. It's going to come down the pipe of where the cost is going to come to us because we're on Gateway. So one question that we had was, how does that cost determined? If we only have 3 of the 10 parcels developed, does all of that cost get split between the current inhabitants, or what's the process there?
Unless David corrects me, the way I understand is that there's the 3 or 4 developed sites there that have already paid into the assessment. I'm guessing that we would augment that through our probably our temp fees, and then as the others develop, then they would reimburse that. I mean, ultimately, when they all developed it, the city of Hollister would receive its additional, or the whatever we put in towards the signalization, but we're only asking you to pay for your fair share.
Okay. And then so that fair share is already determined, basically?
Yeah, based on the assessment.
Okay. The only thing that we'd request is it doesn't come to us the day before we're ready to open. Oh, by the way, we need this much money. I've heard of it happen to other people. And let's work together here, please. We want to make sure it's a safe intersection, and what helps us helps everyone.
Right.
So.
And I think the thing that may make it, as David just mentioned, with the relinquishment of San Felipe now to the city of Hollister, that signal is going to be a lot easier for us to deal with than it would have been while it was under Caltrans jurisdiction. So it's going to be a much simpler sort of process.
The last question I had is, please could we revisit the parking requirement for staff? Because, again, typically from 8 in the evening till 6 in the morning, that's when our parking lot will be full. And we'd love to have 100% occupancy every day of the year. It's not going to happen here in Hollister at the moment. Summer times, we do envision it being very busy. But to have to have 7 or 8 spaces off-site, it's just not very practical for us. Our heavy employee hours would be from 9 till 3, and our parking lot's empty. So if we could revisit that, we'd very much appreciate it. And especially at nighttime, we just have 1 employee working the hotel. So, and if the parking lot's full, to have an agreement with somebody else, and most likely have to pay a tariff or some sort. It's just an unfair burden.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions for us?
Dave?
I have a couple questions. You said you have one employee working the hotel at night, really?
Right. It'll be the night audit clerk who's also trained on managerial duties. Typically, at our hotels, you'll get 1 or 2 people checking in between 10 at night and 6 in the morning. And all they're doing is just sitting at the front desk, making sure our reports tie and so forth.
But other than that, you'll provide local jobs for this project?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
So
okay.
during the day, again, maintenance engineers, general managers, front desk supervisors, front desk clerks,
Several
housekeepers, then offshoot contract work for landscaping, parking lot maintenance, and that's just post-construction.
Okay. And speaking of construction, are you going to go out to bid or for this project?
Well, it depends on how our financing lines up. Luckily, the Marriott Hotel Group has some pre-arranged financing deals with some lenders. And so if the numbers work out where we can go outside, we may go outside, but we may also do it in-house, because we do have I'm a licensed general contractor.
Okay, and so that leads to my next question. When you talk about a project good for the community and local jobs, are you planning on using or entertaining using local contractors, local resources here in our community?
Definitely. If the local contractors will hit our budget line to where our financing stands, I'd have no problem. There are definitely advantages for using local employees, but at the end of the day, our budget is our budget.
Okay,
So-
and you intend to give them the opportunity then?
Oh,
to-
definitely,
okay.
yes. Every project we build, there's always an opportunity for the local contractors as well as out-of-town contractors to bid it.
Okay.
It's never shut out this way or that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time this
I
evening.
had one question.
Sure, sorry.
A market, would that be just for your customers there at the hotel?
So
What
what
do you
it-
envision with that?
Right, it's just a glorified name for a bunch of vending machines, a vending area.
Okay.
So, I mean, it is nice. What we'll have are racks for different types of snacks, chips, cookies, other. The advantage is we can also put things like headache pills and toothbrushes, stuff that you can't really sell in a vending machine. Then also we'll have sodas and juices, frozen pizzas, frozen burritos, and customers can walk in, pick what they like, come to the front desk and say, this is what I want. It's for our guests.
Okay.
It's not meant for the person off the street to come. We don't advertise it on the building or anything.
Okay, I just want to make sure that.
No, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Also,
Excellent.
I have one more question. One ADA room?
Only on the first floor.
Oh, okay. Is there additional ADA room?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
We'll
Is
have
there-
to- go
do
ahead.
you have to put in this to be a certain amount?
You do, Commissioner.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's one ADA room of each type. So if we have a regular king room, you have to have one king ADA room. If you have a double queen room, you have to have a double queen ADA. If you have a king suite ADA. So all in all, I believe there are 4 or 5 ADA compliant rooms in the hotel. And we just scatter them on every floor. Some customers will say, oh, I don't want to be on the first floor, but I'm an ADA requestor, so I'd rather be on the top floor. So we have to accommodate that, keep it fair.
Okay. Great, great.
Yep.
I have a brother who uses a wheelchair.
Yep.
So I'm very sympathetic to that, or.
No, that's fair.
You know, I just want to, just.
Some
See
people
how-
don't like to go in an elevator, so the first floor works.
Yeah.
But other people don't want to hear the noise from above.
Great.
So,
All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
and we build compliant to the California ADA, which is, again, stricter than the normal ADA code.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments, questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, any additional speaker cards, Billy? None? All right, we'll close the public comment period at 6:57, we'll call it, and bring it back to the commission.
Mr.
Oh,
Do you want to go first, Carol?
I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see. I remember when we did the Gateway subdivision, and that intersection, that signalization was discussed at length. And I think the issue there was the city didn't have money for a light. And that's what I recall, and which was why we postponed it and did probably the reimbursement way or the fees. I have to say that I am in agreement with Mr. Friend, Councilman Friend. I think that the Gateway subdivision was there first. It's 10 lots. I don't know that that's still a lot of lots in there to be developed. I think the light is better placed there, but I don't know the Hudner plans. But I think that we owe it to this subdivision to make it the best that we can because it's first. And it's been waiting a long time for that, and it's commercial. So I'd like to see it get some preference there for consideration. Unfortunately, the parking requirement, this is my opinion only, the parking requirement is the parking requirement. We can't do a variance to get out of zoning ordinance minimum requirements. Otherwise, I would suggest a variance, but you can't make a finding for a variance like that. Unfortunately, I think you have those 3 options, unless somebody can enlighten me as to something else that might work. And my last comment is I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate your investment in our community. I really appreciate our investment, as you didn't maybe have to come here. And so we appreciate that you did come here. It'll be very nice to see some new construction right there. And we know you've been at it for a long time, and I wanted to wish you the best on your project. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yeah, I want to say is I think that's a good location for the project, but I agree with Ray Friend and some of the comments about the signalization there, and if the city's willing to pony up the money and be reimbursed later, I don't see, and we can't wait for something to happen in the northern part. I think I would be a proponent to say that we need to get that signal done there if we're going to approve the project. Other than that, I have a lot of nice compliments about the project. You look at that elevation, you don't really realize the architectural styling until you look at the perspective view, that curved portiere. I really think it has really, it's going to look really good there. And I like the solar access. It's a solar site. Matt Kelly, I know, did the civil engineering work, and with the city, the low-impact development. You've got a kind of all your stormwater is going to be, most of it retained on site. I like the swimming pool feature, and oh boy, I think that just about covers it. I think we as a commission, though, when we look at these projects, we need to take into consideration long-term community needs. And I think now that we have a national park, we've got the rally back, you know, we have the wine trails. I think this is a project that the community will need in the long term. So I'm a proponent of this project. With that condition of the signalization.
Just a couple things. I'm with everybody on the signal light because, you know, Marriott is. I use Marriott quite often for business, and you know, it's a business hotel. You're going to have a lot more activity there early in the morning. You know, I can see that, you know, there's a great need for, you know, people that have clients come in, and just there's a lot of business, weekday business that they're going to get that I hope we get. But I think the signalization, we need to really do that. And I would like to see us find a way to work with his request on the parking. I mean, I think they're making a significant investment in the community, and I'm excited that they're coming in. I think a Marriott of all the chains that we could have gotten, hands down, is, I mean, that they do your advertising for you. I mean, it's just it's a win for everybody. But if we can find a way, I think, to somehow, you know, work with his request and, you know, just try to be as, you know, make it as easy for them as we can. I mean, I think we should try to do that. You know, it's going to add a lot to the community. It's going to help. I think it's going to be great for the community, tourism and everything else. So.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. So I have a question, Billy and Dave. So everybody's been talking about this traffic signalization. Obviously, everybody have paid into it or will be paying into that. And so the comment was that the determination of when those signals will be required is based on that upcoming traffic study. And it's hinged only on that, correct?
Yeah, I want to be real careful about how I say this, because I don't think that the Planning Commission wants to condition the project to install the traffic signal, okay? Because then you're putting it on them to do. I think you also want to be careful because I don't think you, as the Planning Commission, can commit to the construction or of the traffic signal either, because then you're putting the City Council in a bad spot, because ultimately they're the ones that have the authority to spend the traffic impact fee dollars to do that. I think if we leave it the way it's written and make sure that when we get the traffic studies, if the traffic counts are what they're supposed to be, and that's the key part, we can move forward with justification to the City Council to say that this is the way it should happen.
Right.
And I think that's probably the best way to go.
For sure.
Okay?
Okay.
And I'm hearing everybody, and my suggestion to move that signal north, you know, that's a long time off. And if it makes more sense to do it in 15 years when they start to develop, then we can always take out the signal at Gateway. I mean, that's not an issue either. So, okay. So I think you'll have the cities, you have staff's commitment to make sure that if it's even close, that we'll fudge towards the err on the side of caution and put that in there, okay?
Okay, thank you. Okay.
One more comment.
Go ahead.
One quick one. It sounds like you're willing to work with them on the dust issue, it's what I understand. So you'll keep it watered down, really good, so that the dust doesn't fly when it's construction. When are you planning on construction? Is it a summer month or more at the end of the year?
No, I'm not sure how to stand up.
No.
No, it's okay.
It's okay.
It'll be most likely April or May, sorry.
Of this year, so immediately. So you could be in the middle of summer. All I can say is if you can just be conscious, and it sounds like you want to be, to keep the dust down, because there are kids that, can't tolerate the allergens. Are you confident they'd be able to work together on that?
Oh, yeah.
So you're okay with that? Keeping it watered down?
Again, with construction, it may be in Mr. Ozawa's best interest that it's all wet all the time. But when I'm grading or compacting
Right.
for dirt, it's not in my best interest, so we'll have to find a
Just
middle
make the best attempt that you can.
ground. Yeah.
Commissioner Leonard, if you would like, or the commission would like, we can add into the conditions of approval a condition regarding keeping the dust down. We do have a condition that we could put, and also
that's what I thought.
a noise suppressant as
I
well.
thought it was in there already.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any additional comments, questions? What is the pleasure of the commission on this item?
If I could just add,
Oh, I'm sorry.
sorry again, as Commissioner Harvey mentioned, it would really help us if there is a way to get a variance in for that parking requirement, just understanding the basic math of running a hotel, that again, we will have 8 employees from 9 till 3 and the parking lot's empty.
If we can find a tool to do that, but as I stated, and maybe Bill wants to weigh in on it, we have to have a way to do it that's legal.
And I can weigh in on it, and
Okay.
hopefully I can put their mind at ease a little bit. I think, once again, I don't think the commission has much of a authority to change what's in the municipal code. You probably have to go with what it is. However, Abraham and I have been talking, there's a couple other projects that are coming down the pike that have quote-unquote parking issues, and I'm not a huge fan of parking. Some of them, I think we overdo parking. Sometimes I know that we don't do enough parking. But I think maybe the hotel land use we could look at revising the employee parking for hotels, and we can maybe reduce them a bit. Again, that would come to you. You would make that recommendation to the city council. The city council would then change the municipal code. Whenever that happens, if that happens relatively soon, before all we're asking is prior to occupancy, I think. And so we have 3 months plus probably 9 months construction, 10. So we have about a year to get that done and settled before they actually need to open. So hopefully we can take care of that for them.
That would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, and
And
if
for
you-
taking care of it.
Yeah, and if you have others in the pipeline that are going to have that same issue.
Well, we have a lot. I think maybe next month you're going to see a couple little nuances in the zoning code that we found that would make it a little bit easier for us to get clarification on. So we may come to you with, how we do every so often, there'll be like 4 or 5 minor zoning code amendments, and that could obviously be one of them.
Fantastic.
It sounds like I'm seeing a shaking of heads that we can look at that.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
We need to try to be flexible as much as the law will allow us.
Understood. And like I said, for me, the Target parking lot, there's a few other parking lots
Yeah.
that just frustrate me to no end, except from Thanksgiving to Christmas.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well,
Okay.
I was going to go ahead and make a motion to approve Site and Architectural Review 2014-1, Resolution 2014-2 for this development.
With the mitigated, the CEQA?
Correct.
So then-
CEQA mitigated negative declaration, correct.
With the condition of the keeping the dust down? You
Well,
know,
that's
that as a
already,
condition?
we said that's
Oh,
already
you
built
added-
into
added it
the
in.
He was gonna
conditions
We
of,
can add that to keep the dust down and noise suppressant as well.
Okay.
We can add both.
with that addition then.
I'll second the motion.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, item passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. New business, as requested by the Planning Commission on December 19, 2013 meeting, the City Council would be available to meet on March 6th, 2014 for a special joint meeting.
Thank you.
What was this one again?
So I believe it was Commissioner Alvarez requested that we do a joint study session, sort of joint meeting with the city council. We haven't done one in a few years. Just letting you know that the council is available on March 6th. If you folks are available, we'll try to make that happen. And then topics that you would like to discuss is something that I'm kind of throwing back at you. I know parks or pocket parks is something, Parks Master Plan is something that you want to have agendized. I don't know if there's anything else that you wish to talk about other than maybe just general goals and objectives.
Enforcement of the sign ordinance.
Sign ordinance enforcement.
Will we have that document from the Hollister Downtown Association to see what their concerns are to?
It's not just
discuss
that I'm concerned with.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
got comments.
just in general,
The whole thing.
would you like to have our code enforcement officer available?
I want to know the plan, especially for the vertical signs,
Vertical?
those vertical banners.
Oh, just, okay.
We
they're
just have a
they're
lack of
yeah.
total enforcement, and I want to know if it's coming or not.
Oh, well, I can, how many tickets have we written? 2,000 tickets?
For signs?
Yes. Trust
Since
us.
when?
You don't, we,
Since when?
January 1.
What?
January 1.
So you guys are doing some enforcement?
Something like that.
That's what I need to know.
What I'll do is I'll
Come and check.
have our management services director available so he can give you some statistics on what we've done.
I've been concerned with it for a long
Yeah.
time, so if we're going to meet with them, I'd like to know their plan.
And please don't quote me on the 2000 newspaper and anybody watching, because that was just a number. As soon as I said that, I was like, oh, no.
I mean, staff did a very comprehensive sign ordinance that I thought was very nicely done, very comprehensive, and then we didn't enforce it. So I've always said, if you're not going to enforce it, don't create it.
So can we put that money towards tourism?
No.
We weren't counting on having that money, so why don't put it to something that can make us some money?
Is there a proposed time on March 6th that you guys are looking at, or?
We usually try 6 or 6:30. We haven't come up with anything yet.
I'm good anytime you guys
I'm good
say.
for March 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
You all good?
I'm good, that's
Okay. Okay, so sign ordinance, parks, or not the ordinance, but the enforcement,
Yeah.
just general code enforcement?
The sign
Okay.
ordinance.
Okay,
And maybe a status report, that's all.
okay, got it. Anything else?
Just general zoning and planning.
Is there, what I'm most concerned is when they overturn one of our decisions, is there any way we can get that back to us so that we know, because we're.
Oh, the
approving
appeal.
things And it would get to the city council,
Yeah.
and they would gut it, and.
That's, yeah, you can just yell at me for that. So, once it goes to city council, and if they uphold your decision or they overturn your decision, it's really kind of on us to make sure that you're informed at your next meeting. If you would like to find out sooner, I certainly can probably have an email go out to folks or a letter go to you folks the next day. But that's probably something that would fall on my shoulders.
Or we
I
could come
just
to
have
the meeting.
I have a response to Commissioner Alvarez's comment. I mean, when something comes up like this and we feel that we need to represent this issue to the city council, we can attend the public hearing as a citizen, not representing the planning commission, but we can always have that option. I mean, but as far as city council, when they make a decision, that's it.
Well, I mean, that, created a lot of confusion with me, because we were making decisions, and I thought we were, doing fine. If they would just let us know, that's why I wanted the meeting, so we could all get on the same page.
They're going to let us know?
Yeah, and that's what I want. They're elected, we serve here, under them. If we're not doing what they want, then,
Well, I
that's fine.
think one of the issues, we weren't sure how they were going to respond to that, but now we have more of an indication in the future of how they might respond in the future, so we could attend. and.
And if you
voice our-
can't, like you said, Billy, you would include that as part of a development report and a line item just in the
I
form.
certainly can, and Commissioner Alvarez is absolutely correct. I mean, one of your roles up there is to basically make decisions, quote unquote, on behalf of the council. I'm not saying that you folks don't do this, I don't know, but I would encourage you to speak to your council members who appointed you to make sure that you are doing what they want you to do. That way, we don't have appeals. I mean, one of the things that, appeals here don't happen very often. They're pretty infrequent. So I think you folks, I'm assuming, do a good job at making the decisions that I think your council members want you to do. If you weren't, then we'd be having appeals all the time. So always, and the council members, as far as I know, they get their agenda. I mean, they get the same agenda you do. They don't obviously get the reports. So I mean, there could be constant contact with them.
Except that I'm going to say this. I studied the staff report in depth, and I don't have a political thing going on. So if I feel like something is, I'm still going to say it. Sorry.
Then you can't be upset when it gets appealed.
I study the issue in depth, and that's just,
Yeah, no, I understand, but
it
again.
would be my goal to be in line with the city council. Yeah.
But at the same time,
But-
like you say, if
yeah.
you don't have a political fight, then
Sometimes the planning is easier than the political part, so I'll give him that.
When is that big park, you talked about a park that we were going to do near the high school? What's the time frame for that? That big 30-acre park or something?
Oh, yeah. The county and the school district are still working on the details of that, so it's, time-wise, I couldn't tell you exactly how those discussions are going, but I know that they're trying to move that along, because there's a lot of pieces that are involved in there. There's the quote-unquote, the closure of Nash Road, the new road that's being built around the stadium that provides the access to that park. And it's all kind of a big deal, a big community sort of project. There's a couple of subcommittees of the intergovernmental, which has members of both the Board of Supervisors, the school district, and the city council that are looking at those, are looking at that.
The other thing I was thinking, I think it'd be a good idea for us to be able to get together with the county planning commissioners at some point, maybe have a joint meeting with them.
With the county planning commissioners?
Just to make sure we're all on the same page, about stuff, or try to be close to on the same page. I mean, it's San Benito County. We're in San Benito County. Is that a bad thing?
We're on
No,
TV.
it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
No.
I will say this, is that, it would be good for us to get a track on their general plan and see how they're progressing with it, because it does interrelate with our
they
downtown area in our jurisdiction. I mean, there is an overlap there. So I would like to know how they're coming along with it. That's one issue that
Okay.
we could talk about.
They meet on it almost.
They're not quite sure, maybe.
No, it's almost complete now,
Yeah.
from what I understand.
Okay.
So you'd like me to try to arrange that one as well?
Well, I
Let's
mean,
do
what
this.
what do these guys think? I had a comment that was made to me just by somebody I work with, and, she's pretty vocal, and she said, why don't, it seems like to me, you guys should meet together. I mean, it was just one, but I think it would be a good idea.
Could it be more in a workshop forum than a public hearing? I mean, does it?
Well, it has to be open, obviously, to the public.
Oh, right.
But, yeah, I mean, and that's what's odd, is trying to figure out what sort of setting do you want to get in, and who's going to be running the meeting. I mean, we both would open up the public hearing, or we both would conduct our own meetings, jointly. But it's always good to have some topics in an agenda so that you can get where you need to be, instead of just having a free-for-all. So
Right.
if you want to do that, we'll take care of the city council one first. If you want to move forward and have something with the planning commission, the county's planning commission, let me know what sort of topics you want to discuss. We'll get with Byron, and we'll see if that's something that they would want to participate in as well. And then we'll meet, maybe at the Vets Hall or something like that, and you can have a couple hours to talk about various things if that's what you'd like to do.
Billy, if I could, also, with my job in dealing with county, the intergovernmental meetings that are happening, just having some an insight of what those topics. It was interesting. I saw the agenda for that particular meeting. I thought it was very interesting, those items that were being discussed, and I wasn't sure if the other commissioners were aware of some of those specifics in those meetings. I think it might be a great idea to maybe provide the commission with maybe an agenda or even the minutes of what's happening with the intergovernmental meetings. And it sounds like there's a lot of activity, some discussions, and...
Okay, yeah, we do the minutes. I shouldn't say we. Cheryl does the minutes for intergovernmental. That's on the first Thursday of the month. I can have Abraham and Jill just include the minutes as kind of a standard thing for your review. That's not a problem.
Yeah. Start going.
Or,
I am
you know what, actually, what might be even better, how about if I just get them to you and it's not part of an agenda or anything?
Yeah, just for informational purposes.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's a
mean,
great
you can
idea to
do
have the
that.
commissioners be
Yeah,
aware of what's
I'd rather
going
not
on.
have it as an agenda item because there's nothing that we need to do with it, but I'll give them to you.
Yeah, just having access to that information, of what's being discussed, so we are aware of what the
And
county's
if I
dealing
do
with.
go, maybe I'll send, I can't do that. I was going to say, if I do go, I could maybe let them know what's discussed, but...
It's probably best to just let me have
Yeah.
I'll give you a copy of the
I can't
agenda.
do that.
Yeah, it's probably best if I just give you a copy of the agenda and the minutes.
Okay.
From the meetings, of the same month that we're in.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Department reports, I guess we kind of...
Guys have anything?
None.
Nothing?
Okay.
Planning Commission reports?
I have a report. I'd like to thank the mayor, Ignacio, and Cruz Reynoso. I believe he's a police officer.
Carlos,
Carlos?
Carlos, I'm sorry.
he's a captain.
Captain, beautiful. We were at the park, my family and I, and they were walking through the park, talking about different, issues to there. So I was really, really pleased to see, both of them, taking charge. I know there was some comments in the paper about Dunn Park, and we need to take it back. And just by people showing up, that scares other people that shouldn't necessarily be there doing what they're doing. And that's why my family frequents the park, because it is our park. I grew up in that area, and that's the best thing is to go to the park. And I was really glad to see the mayor and the police captain there. So I want to thank them very much. It's very important.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we move on, if there's no other commissioner reports, I did get some good news tonight, really, really kind of good news. I'm not sure how public it is yet. I think it went out on Nixle at least. Did everybody hear that our police chief, David Westrick, was National Police Chief of the Year for WETIP, which is a pretty big honor for us. So Dave has done an excellent job.
He's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, he represents this community as fine as anybody. So I think we are very fortunate to have him. So I wanted to thank Dave and congratulate him. I wrote him a text, but now's an opportunity for me to tell you guys real quick. And that just happened a little while ago. So
It doesn't surprise me.
Congratulations.
That's great news, Bill, thank you.
All right. Okay, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
And motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, next regular meeting is Thursday, March 27th at 6 PM.
We'll see you on the 6th.
Thank you.
8 o'clock. I'll make
Or on the 6th, too. We got our special meeting on the 6th.
Don't drive.
Can you bring it over?